And I really want your thoughts on this, Jason, because I know it's easy to say, and I'm saying that because the three states I would possibly live in, I'm in Virginia right now. I might move to Alabama, and then there's a chance that I could see myself moving back to Kentucky. All three of those states have education benefits for P&T dependents. So like my spouse and my children, right? Meaning they can go to in-state school for free, has nothing to do with Chapter 35 or any other benefit. The state, that is a state benefit completely outside of federal at all. Chapter 35, federal. What I'm talking about right now is state. Not every state has them. I think it's less than 10 if I'm correct. Feel free to fact check me on that, anyone, if you can. But I think, Jason, the conversation I really want to bring up is if I was in a state who did not have that benefit, would I seriously consider moving to a state that does? Uh, Most states, and I know this is true for Alabama and Virginia, if you did not enlist or commission out of those states, you need to have 5-year in-state residency. So if you do have kids, you need to move there, get your state residency, wait 5 years, boom, now you're eligible for the benefit, right? I'm thinking to myself, would I seriously consider moving to a state that does? I think that answer is yes, right? If I really want to set my family up and put my children in the most advantageous position possible, I think that's a conversation. That's probably the hardest conversation a veteran needs to have with their family. Especially, you're moving from West Coast to East Coast, whatever that looks like for you. But that benefit can seriously be life changing. I'll just speak for myself. Let's say Virginia wasn't this state, or Virginia wasn't a state that does have this. I have 4 children. Chapter 35 is not going to cover tuition, right? It's going to cover dorm room, car payment, beer money, whatever it is that my kids are spending it on. Hopefully they're spending it on what they're supposed to be spending it on. I think I would seriously consider moving to a state that does have that benefit, because I can't pay for tuitions, right? I just can't. It's not in my cards. I want to be able to live comfortably, My kids can also join the military. I'm sure another war will pop off and they'll have the that version of post 9/11 GI Bill. I don't know. They can figure it out, right? But I have no intentions of paying for my students' tuition or my kids' tuition 4 times. And I want to get your thoughts on that, Jason. Do you think a veteran who's in a state who is P&T, who has children, do you think it's a serious thing to consider moving to a more veteran-friendly state?
So it depends, right?
Yeah,
Again, welcome
it's
to the
so
world
hard.
of nuance,
It's so hard,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, they might not need a degree for whatever they're going to blossom into as an adult, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they can do something that's a crash course training program to get them, into whatever, or maybe they're going to go do an apprenticeship with some sort of a pipe fitters union or something, right? Who knows, right? Here's the answer for you. California, for example,
great state.
does not require you as the veteran to live there. It requires the applicant, whoever's going to be going to school, to be a resident of the state, not you, the veteran.
Mm-hmm.
So you could farm your kids out and send them to California. And they can go through to a doctorate degree if they can get it done within the certain time frame or other eligibility requirements. Your spouse, at 100%, actually, let me back it up. They got actually 4 different avenues into the educational program. Okay, there's 2 that are the primary ones that are used. One is for veterans that are rated 100%. And then the other is at any percentage. And again, the student can go all the way through and knock out a doctorate at UC Davis if they wanted to, or wherever, right? Or go to one of the Cal Poly universities. So I'm just going to read a little bit from here because this is an important thing. And if school and education and all the things that come with that is important,
Hmm.
it's important to know that this is available. So Plan A, the unmarried child of a veteran who is totally service connected disabled. Okay, so 100%. So if you're 100% veteran, the unmarried child, right, is who they're talking about here. Um, the child must be over 14 years old and under 27 years old to be eligible. If the child is a veteran, then the age limit is extended to age 30. Okay, so up until age 27. So if you are just kind of the normal situation, you're 18 years old, bam, I'm going to go to college. You have from age 18 to the end of your 26, before you turn 27, to knock out as much school as you can. And if you can knock out your doctorate in that amount of time, good on you. Okay, tuition free through that whole process. The spouse of a wartime veteran who is totally service connected, disabled, is eligible. There's no age limit, to that. So if you're again 100% during a wartime, the unmarried surviving spouse of a wartime veteran whose death has been rated as service connected is eligible. No age limit. And then it says any dependent of any veteran who has been declared missing in action and so forth, right? So that's one option. And that one has an age limit to the child, right? And the veteran must be 100%. Plan B is for any aged dependent. Or I mean, excuse me, not any age.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, any aged dependent. You could be 30, right? But it's based on income instead. So it says the child of a veteran who has a service-connected disability at any rating, or had a service-connected disability at the time of death, or died as a service-related cause, the child's annual income, which is included in the child's adjusted gross income, plus the value of support by the parent, may not exceed the annual income limit. And the last I looked, it was about, I don't know, 17,000 a year. So they can't make much. The current academic year, blah, blah, blah. But here's the key. With this one, there's no age limit, but there is an income limit. So you gotta, nobody wants to be 30 years old making 17,000 a year, right? So again, this would be ideal for, I'm rated 10%. My kids graduating high school today, they can go to school. The plan B also has no prohibition against receiving concurrent VA Chapter 35. So you can receive both as the dependent. Spouses not available on Plan B, just dependents. So if school is really important, but you don't want to move, you can kick your kids out, make them go to California to get their education. They just have to meet the residency requirements. So all that to say, Clay, to answer your question, is it really depends,
Depends. Yeah,
right?
it depends.
On where that child or dependent is going to go as far as their work livelihood is concerned. I mean, if they're a candle maker and they enjoy selling homemade candles on Etsy, and they're making, whatever, $5,000 a month on Etsy selling candles, well, maybe that's what they want to do. They don't need to go to college, and you're not going to send them there because maybe they're going to pull their hair out if they do go. So, it just depends on the child, the circumstances, and everything else around it. Do I think it's a great benefit? Yes. And it should be factored in the big picture.
Yeah, what that makes me think of, and this is definitely in left field here, is let's say you are 100% PNT. I'm just gonna say it's 45 grand, right? Dependents, SMCK, that will change that number. Let's just say 45. It's a bit higher. Um, Generally speaking, it's a bit higher for most. 45 grand non-taxable income does not include any other money or income stream you have coming in. You have multiple children. The reason I would say yes would be, first off, and I'm going to take Kentucky for example because that's where I'm from. I have my Talk Derby to Me shirt on right now. Get it? Talk Derby to Me. Okay. This I don't sell. It's
Stop horsing around.
oh my gosh. Nice. Nice. But 45 grand non-taxable in Kentucky will go a long way depending on where you live. especially if you have a job and you have multiple kids, you have that 5-year residency, your kids can go to school for free. It's at least something you should have a conversation with your spouse, and say, hey, there's this really cool benefit. Our way of life would definitely, our dollar would be worth more here, in that state versus, like, I'm not saying, I'm sure Northern California has very, very similar. I probably wouldn't move like LA County because now that 45 grand becomes a penny, right? Here it's like, well,
Right. Yeah.
there
Yeah.
goes that money. Texas is in there, Florida's in there, Alabama, Virginia. I think it's at least an option to consider. And on that note, Jason, if you are looking to move, right? Jason and I do videos with David Piatek. Definitely check out those live streams. He can absolutely help you with that process when it comes to selling your house, finding a home, and doing all of that home stuff, especially for this instance, which I think I would probably make the argument, Jason, that for veterans to waive off the topic of, hey, should I move states, would be slightly ignorant to do because there's just so many benefits out there for P&Ters. And hey, if you do think about it, you consider it, and the answer is no, then the answer is no. It is what it is. But it's definitely a conversation to have. I want to transition over to